Hi, it's Dr. Denise from my wood, and I thought I'd just give you a story about how I came to be a woodland owner. And we're coming up to the anniversary of my very first vision quest, which was the beginning of July. And my very first vision quest started the day after I'd had my interview to do my doctorate. And after the interview, and they said to me, "So what are you doing tomorrow? Or what are you doing for the weekend?" I go, "I'm going off to go do a vision quest," and told them a little bit about that. And then after a year, you close your vision quest. And so you went back to the same land and you spend 24 hours solo. I'm not going to talk about vision quests now because I can talk about them elsewhere. But the day before I went to close my vision quest, I went on a first date, and I was talking to this man about what I was going to do, and he was sort of quite interested about it. And I think over that past year, I'd got a deeper connection with nature. I'd done a Wild Woman in the Woods type course, and I'd booked on to do a bushcraft course, and I'd booked off to do outward bound sort of weekends. And I think having spent 4 days and nights alone in nature, it just gave me this deeper connection, and I wanted to do more. So as time moved on, I was doing more. I went to South Wales wild camping, and we both started thinking about, wouldn't it be lovely to own a wood so we could do wild camping on our own? And this was 4 years ago. So, it was all the way. Lockdown was, are we closed, are we open, whatever it was. And the end of January 4 years ago, we bought a wood. We bought this wood together. And we didn't know what we were looking for, and we didn't know about managing it, and it was a lot more work than we both thought about. And it has been a lot of work managing it. And then people's interests change, and his view was he wanted to do different things. He wanted to take his money out of the wood, and we were going to sell it. And then I started to feel bereft. I had such a strong connection with the wood. And although people were telling me I could go and spend time at their wood, it's not quite like having your own. And as it went up for sale, it was then, I could buy it. I could have it as my own wood. And clearly I needed to get the money from somewhere. And I'm of an age where I've got a drawdown pension account and some of the savings. So I could use my pension money. And I had to stop thinking of it as an expense and more as an investment, because at some stage in the future, I'm going to be able to sell the wood. So the money will come out of it. But it's been hard work having it on my own and realising it's all down to me. And I started asking people, and I found a man. I found Dave. And Dave has been really helpful, because in exchange for wood, Dave's been taking down any trees that are looking a bit ropey, that might come down, and dangerous branches and things like that. So I've had Dave helping me. And then when I decided that I really wanted a yurt, I bought a second-hand yurt base. And in the end, I didn't go for the yurt. But I found somebody, the person who delivered it actually said that he could put it together for me. So I got him to do that for me. And then I wanted to do some other work, and it's like, I wonder if this could get done or that could get done. And so both Dave and Justin have been really useful people to talk to about suggesting other people that can help. And what's been really interesting is that when I was a joint owner, I never thought of the wood in the same way, because we tended to come to the wood together. But since it's been mine, I've spent a lot more time here. I've had to do a lot more things that my partner used to do. And I've had to learn to use a chainsaw and do a lot more stacking of wood. But I've also just spent a lot of time just being. And when you spend a lot of time being, you can start thinking about how you want things to be. And I have a base camp with a very big parachute for protection. from the weather. And as I just spent time just having a cup of tea or whatever and just hanging out there, I thought, I could make this change and I could make that change. And it's taken up a lot of my headspace, but not in a bad way, not in a way that made me feel stressed. It's just like, this is really interesting. I'm beginning to see it as a problem to solve rather than, oh my goodness, this is something insurmountable. So that's been quite interesting, and I'm coming to the end of the work that I'm having done. And even a couple of days ago, I thought, something else. And I've got somebody coming later this evening who Justin had introduced me to talk about that. And I think the lesson for me is sometimes you just need time because the answer is there. And if you try and use your logical brain, you're just going to get yourself in the right mess and just try and think too hard and think, and the answer will come. But what I found was just being in the wood, just pottering about, just sitting and listening to the birds and just sitting and hearing and watching the trees. And suddenly it's like, that's the question I should have been asking, not that one. And for me, it's remarkable. And as we complete all the work that's being done here, I'm going to start scheduling some dates for retreats because I think other people need this. You need to get away from your normal environment. You need to get some time out in nature. And you can come and spend a weekend with me, or indeed you can just come and spend a day with me, and all options are open. But I do think there's something to be said by taking you out of your normal environment into something different and just allowing space to see what might be. I think that's the message for today. I'm relaxed today at the wood. I've got a business colleague, friend more than business colleague now, coming over to see me shortly, and we're just going to spend some time just walking around the wood together and just talking about some ideas we've got about how we might do some work together. And for me, doing it here is just so much nicer than going and sat in an office somewhere or doing it on Zoom, because we don't have to rush. We can take our time. And I wonder how this inspires you about how you need time out of your normal environment to think things through, to think about what you actually want to do, to think about what's right for you. And that's important too. What is right for you, not what other people think you should be doing. Because we've all got agency. We should all be doing the things that suit us and the person we are now. And as I talk so much about aging, the person I am now, approaching 68, is very different than the person of even 5 years ago, and certainly of the person of 30 years ago, when my first marriage was coming to an end. Pretty scary, it's 30 years ago, but I am such a very, very different person at all these stages. And actually, I think thinking about that's a different video about a different conversation about all the people that we've been. And I think I'm just going to do another one while I'm in this reflective mood. So until next time, it's Dr. Denise. Take care. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.